Another record-breaking day, he said, in the bond market. It's been a long week. The yield on the 10-year Treasury hitting a new record low, breaking below 0.7%, closed at 0.773. That historic move having a huge impact on one key part of the market. Carter Worth over at the Plasma to chart it for us, and it's ugly, Carter.
It's pretty ugly. Banks have been ugly for a while, and they just got worse. You all were talking about it earlier, and let's talk about it a little bit more. But first, this is the entire history of the TLT. We know it's been a one-way trade for rates, which of course is the opposite for price. But what is now a record is that the TLT is literally to the penny at the top of the channel that it has lived in its entire existence. It literally is touching there as we speak. And even if and as this goes higher, I think the path higher passes through a lower price. In fact, the NASDAQ 100 got to the top of its 10-year channel and backed away. So my hunch is here is that this is truly overdone and you can catch a bit of a downdraft in TLT. But more importantly, banks. This is the KBW Bank Index, and I've got two parts to the chart. It's the top, which is the index itself, and the bottom is relative performance of the S&P. Now watch this. I'm going to put in some lines. And what we have here is the following. On the top, we have now broken, right? We had a very well-defined trend line, and we have broken it. And so if I were to zoom in here, you can actually see this. We're now officially below the line. And we have also broken below to 52-week and 10-year lows on the relative. Let's move forward. Now I'm going to show you an all-data chart that goes back to the 2007 peak. And this is the real tragedy. It's the problem with dilution. Now let's put in some lines. The BKX index never even got back above its 2007 peak. Now, yes, individual banks have, JP Morgan, fantastic. But as a bet, as an aggregate, as a theme, as an investment, as an alpha proposition, can't make a high in 10, 20 years, and its relative performance is below its 09 low. And so while there are ones that are better than others, the notion that somehow this has been or ever was a good area never really was true. And it's certainly not good right now.
All right, Carter, we're going to see it coming up in options action as well. BK, the banks.
You know, it's not a great environment for the banks, unfortunately. There is going to be some that actually do. You know, JP Morgan will probably weather the storm. There'll be a time to buy the U.S. banks. I don't think they're going out of business by any means. As I said last night, all the fire trucks are parked right outside the banks. They've got their hoses ready. Chances of there being a huge problem with the U.S. banks, I think, are slim. That doesn't mean they're great investments in this environment. I think if you're looking at the banks, the more that I'm concerned about is the European banks. You look at the European Bank Index down 25% from its February highs. That's where the epicenter is going to be if there's problems with the banks.
Yeah, I think if you think about the money center banks, you've had a dynamic where people really focused valuations around what's been going on with the yield curve. We know, in case you haven't done the math, after today, it's now the 10-year yield has dropped 79% since the peak in November of 2018. So there's some dynamic here. I think banks' profitability is much more defendable than just based upon that. The biggest issue would be the credit issues that I think is what people are doing to the banks right now. I don't think this is about profitability.
Yeah, and
it's not their balance sheets, not their, it's not their credit, to be clear. Sorry.
It's not them. It's what they hold. It's
exactly.
stuff that they hold. So, by the way, I think all of us here wish Jamie Dimon a speedy recovery.
Of course,
obviously,
absolutely.
a sudden situation.
I love Jamie Dimon.
We know. I didn't want to, but sounds like he's getting better, and that's a good thing. So all of us here wishing Jamie speedy recovery as well.